And Austin, basically, grad, he came and said, hey, I'd like to help out. I'd like to sort of, share what I know on the online marketing. And ever since then, Carly and I have been traveling around and sort of getting our feet on the ground and understanding a little bit better the landscape of rural innovation and rural businesses in Montana. And I have to say, almost everywhere we go, and I don't know, Rich, if you have similar experiences, but online marketing or marketing in general for small businesses in Montana, figuring out how to get the word out there in the right way and an inexpensive way is always come up as like one of the major challenges. So we with lots of folks in White Sulphur Springs, all of them, even people like Sarah Calhoun, who seems to me to be sort of an expert at sort of networking and getting the word out there, will say things like, well, we all need to learn how to get the word out there better. So I think this is a really important topic for lots of folks in rural Montana. So thanks, Austin, for joining us. And if you want to share a little bit about your business and your background, and then we'll jump into some questions and just take it conversational style from there.
Sure. Yeah. Actually, to kind of take it all the way back to where Inbound Creation started. So I actually started my career after the MBA program. Well, I guess after undergrad, I did go to a market research company, but I hated that job. So it was a nice experience, but I was basically emailing surveys to people, and I hated my job. So I left that, went back to the MBA program at the University of Montana, spent 2 years there, studying for the MBA, I guess. So after graduating, through networking and various stuff that I did through the Entrepreneurship Club, I was the president of the Entrepreneurship Club at the university, as well as the president of the Graduate Business Student Association. And I tried to stay really active in the community and forfeit a lot of homework to do that. So my grades were pretty good. They could have been better, but I spent more time marketing and actually building relationships, which actually are ending up paying off now. So one of those relationships was with Salt Lake City Bookkeeping. They came in and spoke at one of our lectures about making, basically like entrepreneurship is a career, and just over a couple beers and a couple months, and the guy taught me how to fly fish. And while we were fly fishing, he asked me if I wanted to do marketing for Salt Lake City Bookkeeping. They had no plan, no implementation. They just had a ton of content, and we're like, we don't even know what the job description would be. It'd be just, you go and figure it out. I spent a year there and decided that business development and sales were kind of more the role that I wanted to take on to learn more. And actually, I worked at GFDA. So I was in Great Falls for about a year, working for GFDA and doing business development for them. And then actually, I started Inbound Creation, which started out as web development and content creation. So content being mostly blog writing or a lot of copywriting on websites. I just always had a knack for understanding the brand essence of a company and then displaying it on the site so that it was a nice blend between the brand of the company and who they were, as well as who their target audience was and how we actually get them to interact. But while working for Salt Lake City Bookkeeping, I got certified in HubSpot, which is one of the biggest CRMs in the world. And they focus specifically on inbound marketing, meaning outreach that comes to the business. So a lot of it would be putting out a lot of content, getting people to sign up, and then we'd email them and nurture the clients over time. But Inbound Creation actually went to a couple different things, as I just found like I either got bored or didn't like certain aspects, like web development. I no longer design websites. I'll build them in Wix if someone wants something really simple, but I just won't do anything. I have no interest in coding. I hate when I have to do it, but if it gets the job done, fine. And now actually, so I was running Inbound Creation through various products for the last 3 years. Right now we are focused on backlinking outreach and creating backlinks for clients and I help them with their content so that we can actually get valuable content out there. As well as I just started a full-time position for Salt Lake City bookkeeping again, except in this role, I'm more of a director, and I have a lot more experience now in both outreach as well as creating a website that actually ranks. So we're working on that, as well as I teach at the university. I just finished integrated online marketing last week. So marketing is pretty much what I do, but I have a background in sales and pretty much the whole marketing funnel, from market research all the way to completing the sale and even in customer success. And I've also been an entrepreneur since I was 14. I had a lawn mowing business, and funny story, I didn't actually know how it grew until I got in college. My first customer was an old lady, and I did such a good job. She would go and get her hair permed once every week or two, and she'd sit next to the other old ladies who, like, their husbands had passed away or were incapable of mowing their lawn. I had like 15 or 16 clients after a while, and I was only charging them like $20, but I was making more money in a week than any of my friends, and I was only working until noon. So entrepreneurship and small business management has been my forte since I was very young.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for sharing that. I've got a couple of questions that just came to mind there, but I don't know if Rich or Kristen, if you've got stuff you want to jump in, or anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I have questions about some SEO stuff and backlinking and all that, but we can save that for later. And I don't know if it's too in the weeds, but my biggest headache always creating websites, and I'm seeing it now when I'm helping with my small business, my SBDC clients, is just that initial thought that, they build a website. Hey, I built this website. How come when I type in hunting lodges in Montana, my website doesn't show up? So that initial push to get websites, brand new websites, ranked is always a struggle for me without extraordinary measures. So I don't know how you temper those expectations with people, that they're not going to instantly start ranking for their most competitive keywords.
Yeah, and I think first thing is, a lot of people don't know what SEO is. Search engine optimization. They're like, okay, what does that actually mean? And when you start telling someone that there are over 200 ranking factors in Google that go from anything from the upload speed of your website to how many backlinks you have, and there's at least 200 that we know of that we can actually test. What I generally tell people is there's two things that are most important to Google. They won't tell us which one is the most important, but it's content and backlinks.
Right.
And ultimately, if you ask me, I say content is number one because of how Google operates and what their job is, but also because without content, you can't get backlinks. You just can't, right? So when it comes to someone's site who isn't ranking, it has nothing to do with the web creator. It has everything to do with how they're actually creating their presence and whether they're offering a great experience for any of their visitors. UX, UI is a huge thing right now, but the reason why user experience is so important is because of how Google operates. Their algorithm is built to make sure that every single experience for clients is the best they've ever had. That's why they own 80% of search traffic, right? But so as long as a website, you don't have to focus so much on keyword research or anything like that anymore, but as long as they're focused on making sure that they keep people on the website, their website is running well, and they're not being salesy, instead they're trying to be valuable to the client, that their website will start to rank better. So it has everything to do with adding value to the experience. And a lot of businesses don't understand that because they're trying to make sales, and I absolutely understand that. But when it comes to trying to make sales, that doesn't mean you sell. It means you have to be valuable to your potential clients.
Yeah, and that's what I'm always telling clients too, is that, you've got to build your website to, like you said, maximize the experience for the user and offer value other than just whatever you're selling, and then
Yeah.
Google will start to rank you. But it's hard to get entrepreneurs and business owners to kind of understand that shift in thinking of just providing something of value that's not necessarily their sales. So
Another good way too is to help explain that Google actually has a personalized experience for every IP address. So just because I'm a webmaster and I, can see where it ranks within Google's rankings, doesn't mean it's going to show up for someone's specific
right.
keyword search. So,
And Austin, man, I didn't follow that very well. How does Google have an experience for every address, in the sense that are they tracking how long they're there, how many clicks there are, and sort of there's a whole set of actions that determines what that experience is like?
can you guys see my screen here?
Yeah. So, yep.
It's right here. So I'm logged in. Everything that I do, everything I've ever done on my account is tracked by Google. So if I love shopping for shoes, specifically Nike shoes, if I typed in shoes, Nike's going to come up over Reebok every time. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen for somebody else. If they specifically like Reeboks over Nikes, Google is going to show that. And the ultimate reason is because we can't personalize an experience for everybody. We know that because my favorite color is blue, but your favorite color is green or red, right? There is no one specific search that would be good for everybody, and Google knows that. So that's part of the factors, is what you've searched for in the past is going to affect what you see now.
Interesting. So in Rich's case, a situation where he has a client, it's a hunting lodge, and they Google themselves, maybe they were doing lots of shopping for Caribbean cruises, and they find things in Florida rather than their own shop in Montana, because Google's focusing on their activity as a web browser and search engine, not necessarily what somebody else is going to find. Is that a correct portrayal?
Yeah. And so one last thing, Rich, because this is, it's a big topic, but one last thing is Google loves old websites. If they've been around for a while and have been constantly updating, Google loves knowing that someone's been interactive for a long time. So it takes time to rank. You cannot rank today by starting a website right now, no matter how hard you try.
Yeah, there's some domain age figured in their algorithm, and the interactivity on the updated website. That's why I'm always hammering on clients to, the very minimum, create a blog and start adding content to it often.
Yeah. I don't know if that specifically answers your question, because that's a tough one. How do you prove that to someone who expected the results to be good?
Yeah, I've always tempered, when I was doing web development, I'd always temper it with, like, don't expect, to be showing up, but it's a really competitive thing too. People can spend, as you know, probably a lot of money building backlinks and building content. And, can you speak on that too? Just some general guidelines, what someone might expect to pay for, and you don't have to get into any of your specific pricing, but, it runs the gamut from, $200 a month to $5,000 or $6,000 or $10,000 a month for building content and building backlinks. So I never know what to advise a client on if they want to get into some paid management, what they should expect for what they're going to, if you spend $150, is that just, you're throwing away money? You got to get, spend a couple thousand. I don't know.
Well, it's really tough because like I have one client that, the money that they bring in, it's you'll see a lot of times when someone fills out a form about marketing services, they'll ask what your revenue is. And the reason why is they're trying to price against you to see what you can afford. If 1% if you're a $100,000 company, and 1 to 3% of your income, which is or your revenue, it's not that big a deal, right? Like the difference between 97,000 and 100,000 it's just not, there's really not a whole lot of variance there. So then they're going to go, okay, we're going to charge you $3,000 a year. Here's what it is per month. But for me, I look at something and I normally start pretty small and show results first. So I either at cost or slightly underbid someone, and I say, I'm going to do this for 3 months. If we see results after 3 months, I'm going to charge you what it actually costs. Like for right now, I'm charging someone $840 a month for backlinking outreach. I expect to have about 20 to 25 hours worth of outreach every single month. It factors out to be about $40 an hour. And then at the point after about 3 months, I'm going to approach them because it's taking more time than I thought it was going to actually get some results. We're going to increase prices, but we are getting results. And the best part about that is I can say, we are getting results. I have to increase prices. So that's just biting the bullet at first and being confident in my skills. And ultimately that gives me 3 months to decide whether they're going to be a crappy client anyway. Like if they're going to be terrible clients, they got to go. I've got other clients that, you know, I have to tend to as well. So.
Cool.
I have a question. So what's come to my realization is I'm designing an employee SWOT analysis. What I train is reaffirming company values and realigning work-life balance with people's lives, building in that structure. And so that's how I'll be able to find out where their weaknesses are and be able to offer that as a tool. One of the segues of connecting to my value proposition is insurance companies. They want companies to lower their work comp rates. So how to market and connect to insurance carriers to see how my services can improve employee safety and productivity. And
so so insurance companies want to pay less for workman's comp. They want to pay out less in total in workman's comp.
premiums,
Obviously.
correct.
Okay.
Right.
That makes sense. They want to save money.
Right. So it's more of that marketing message to insurance carriers, and also then connecting to the companies. The companies I've already got, you know, like a 3-year cost analysis, looking at what incivility in the workplace would look like, and just looking at those numbers. So I've already got kind of that message developed, how to create that marketing to insurance carriers.
So I got a couple ideas. I love email because it's free and it's the best way to test something. Like if I have a message that I'm trying to test to see if it's going to draw clients, before I go and start paying for ads on Facebook or something, I'll actually test it via email and see how much response I get because it's free. And ultimately, until GDPR starts stating in the US that we have to do like Europe, where we have to have permission even to email someone, in the US, we can still email anybody within the US. So it's free and we can do it as much as we want. What I would do is reach out to insurance companies directly, but you first have to identify who's going to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So I use a free tool. It's called hunter.io. And if I go to, let me think, let's go to, someone give me a website. Oh, wait, which is an insurance company? Let's go Cascade Mutual.
Okay.
That's in Great Falls, right? Boom. I've got all their email addresses right here. So now we just have to identify who exactly is the person to reach out to. And I actually don't see his name on here. But you could probably get a really good amount of testable emails that you could pull from here. There are different ways to do this, like scraping, but this is one that's a little more user friendly. You don't have to understand it as much. So like I used this at first before I started developing my own scrapers, because scrapers can generally come back with a lot of really bad data. So this one, I mean, if you specifically have a list, like if you go to GFTA and have them provide you a listing of all the insurance companies in Cascade County or Missoula County or wherever it is, they might have that information, or even just through the chamber. They probably have a lot of insurance companies that are through there. And then I would go and email those guys and ask them if you could either demo how you're, like, make the connection for them, right? How you're going to help reduce the rates. And then they can talk to their clients about it, rather than having to individually talk to clients about how it might reduce. Like, the insurance companies are not interested in reducing how much they're getting paid, but they are interested in reducing how much they're paying out. That's what you're trying to help, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the insurance companies, would they implement this to their clients? They'd be like, hey, you need to have these SWOT analyses done with your employees. Would they do that? Is that the idea?
It's more for the companies to be able to see where the weaknesses are within their employees lifestyle, so that they can see, okay, well, if they're able to identify those areas of weaknesses, and they can see the benefit of why they need my services. Okay. And that's just what I've come up with in the last hour. So I just had a creative brainstorm.
Yeah, if you want to talk more, we can certainly just one-on-one after this, because I'd love to help you with that. But I think email outreach would be a good way to test whether, like, who is going to be the decision maker, as well as whether it's something they're even interested in. But I mean,
well, I do have 2 people that are directly connected. So it's more of creating that message, so I can get that to them, and then they can get that out to their contacts. It's more of that how to construct that message.
Okay. Yeah. As far as constructing the message, I'd have to know a little bit more. So why don't we connect after this sometime later, and I can help you with that.
Okay. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
So
Austin, before we lose this, that website you just used is hunter.io. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, and there's plenty of Chrome extensions that you can go find that will actually show that. There's getprospect.io, and I think they've got, so hunter.io allows you 50 searches, I think, a day for the freemium, which is plenty for most people.
Was that just a Chrome extension you used off of that? Okay.
Yep, just a Chrome extension. Also, I love India. I use Upwork all the time. If I specifically know who I'm targeting, and rather than go and do all this stuff myself, I go to Upwork. You can pay someone $4 an hour in India to build you a pretty awesome list, as long as you give them very specifically what to do. Yeah. And the Philippines. If you give them lots of work too, like, it's really good money. So I try to pay them a little bit more. But ultimately, what I would do after testing the email campaign and I start getting some responses, hey, there's value in this, I would go to either Google Ads or Facebook Ads and start expanding the campaign and let the leads start flowing in that way. I wouldn't recommend that for everybody, but Facebook ads training is absolutely free. And there are plenty of people that are charged for it, but you can find a lot of free training. Any training I've done really has been free up to this point. I don't think I've ever paid for anything.
Can I ask a question about Google Ads?
Yeah.
So again, in this, it's so widely variable, right? Because it's going to depend on the competitive landscape of your keywords you're targeting and stuff. But do you find that there's, I guess on the low end starting, a sweet spot of what someone should be thinking about spending on Google Ads to get a decent return, or is it all going to be completely dependent upon the competitive nature of what you're bidding on? Like, is it worth someone's time to spend $150 on Google Ads per month, or do you say let's start with $1,000? You know, because again, it's advising clients on what they should expect to spend and what they're going to get on the return.
Yep. Ultimately, in order to understand how much you should spend on Google, you need to know how much it's going to take to convert. A lot of small businesses have no clue what their conversion cost is, or cost of acquisition. So how much does it actually cost me to acquire one customer? It's hard data to come on, especially if you only have like 10 clients or 15 clients. How do you actually estimate how much you spent? But when you're starting, you can generally call Google or a lot of other industry experts like, I forget what the name of this company is right now. Sorry. Basically benchmarking industry experts and going to people who do Google Ads and asking them, for clients like me, how much would you expect me to pay? And that's a good starting point. They're all going to give you this bat around of, well, you know, we're going to have to run it for a couple months and see, but that's true. It's because they don't know. And it also is going to depend on how valuable the product is to the client. But you need to know your acquisition costs, number one, or at least an estimate of how much you're willing to spend to bring in one client. Yeah, also you need to know intent, like the difference between Facebook and Google. Google, people are shopping for whatever it may be, right? They're shopping for information, or they are looking to buy your product and they're doing an informational search. Whereas Facebook, it's passive. People will buy stuff that they didn't know that they wanted to buy. The targeting is becoming very similar though. Google has definitely gotten better about how they target clients or target leads. Did I answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like a pretty widely varies, I think, is kind of the bottom line answer on that.
Well, like
one
for
size.
instance, right now I'm testing a Facebook ads campaign and I was like, I'm going to put down $100 and see how many people come through. I'm okay with losing that amount. I think next month I'm actually going to pay a contractor to figure it out for me, but at $100, it was enough to get a few leads through the door to see what it would cost to get them in. Like I've gotten 5 leads so far. I made some readjustments this morning and the campaign actually just turned back on. So right now it's looking like I'm spending $10 a lead. I've got 5 leads and I have 2 people that have asked for a proposal. So spending $20 and getting 2, if I close both of these deals, I spent $20 and I'm going to be charging between $800 to $1,000 a month. Pretty good return. But honestly, when it comes to a client that I can charge $1,200 for, it's always that break-even point. What can I pay to bring in this customer? If I'm going to charge, just for an easy number, if I'm going to charge $1,000 a month, it's $12,000 a year. What are my costs? What's my profit margin? And then you start kind of reverse engineering of what can I afford and what's the break-even point to pay to bring in these guys. And that's where you start budgeting. If the number is, $500 to bring in one client, there's your budget, and see if you can do it. Oh, we got someone else that hopped on.
Let me, wait, can I stop your sharing?
Oh, Am I still sharing? I had no clue. Okay. Yeah, we got Mason.
Yeah, Mason's on. He jumped on pretty early.
Oh,
Mason's a student. Mason's
Oh.
a student with
Emery,
with
yeah.
Emery. He's working with us.
Okay, Siddharth, you got anything for me?
Sorry. I got a question. I don't know, Sid, are you on mute? Or do you have a question?
Oh, no, I'm good.
You're good. So just looking at the sort of back to this question of content, what is valuable content? So Kristen and I had sort of a conversation, I guess, a couple weeks ago, and about content and creating content. And hopefully this wasn't a terrible idea, but sort of suggested to her maybe just create some videos about what you do and interviews and that sort of thing, and put that content up on your website. Is content just content, or is it also like Facebook ads where you put it up there and see if it gets traction, or you put it out there? How do you measure content quality? And I'd say that's a question for us too at Amory, like when we're doing our Facebook ads too, like trying to figure out, okay, what's good content and what's just a waste of server space.
Okay, 1 second. So I'm going to give you guys probably the best thing I've ever learned as a marketer since I started. All right, we'll share again here. So here's the Facebook ads library. And if I'm going to launch a Facebook ad for whoever, let's say Bench Accounting, because I'm actually working against these guys right now, I don't have to start from scratch, right? They've been running, let's see, they've ran all these campaigns here, started running on April 16th. If they have a campaign that's been running since like 2019, guaranteed this is working, right? I don't have to start from scratch. I'm going to steal this and I'm going to use that exact same pitch. I'm going to go put it on mine. This is not copyrighted. This is public information. The only thing I can't steal is Bench Accounting, right? So I'm just going to start there. And then I'm going to test this and go, all right, which is working? I might run a couple, I might test, ditch the do-it-yourself bookkeeping stress and then test something else against it, right? And see which one of my ads work better. But you better believe if it's been running for 6 months, this is working, right? And I can also see, sometimes it'll show us what other ads they've been using. So anyway, where I'm going with this, if you guys want a free way to start getting traffic to your website and start gaining leads from that traffic, or using the content to actually boost your SEO rankings, this is free. It's the Ahrefs Blogging for Business course, and it teaches you the entire front to back how to actually put together a good blog. And the answer is, number one, look for what everyone else is producing that already has good results, okay? Don't start from scratch. Look at what someone else is doing. Also, Neil Patel, the king of content marketing, you can always check him out. But if I want to learn, or if I have a client who wants me to put together content that I know will rank, or that will start getting backlinks and will be successful in outreach, here's what I do. Hopefully my contractor isn't working in here. Okay, cool. Oh no. Might have forgot my password. So let's look at somebody's industry. Mason, what industry do you work in?
Well, I work for Amory, so rural economic development.
Well, Rich, let's just do yours because I know this is super easy. So web development. Okay. We can actually go here and say like how do you all right, we have all these links here of who's already doing this the right way, right? This is good content and it's ranking. They're getting a ton of traffic from these, and guaranteed this is a very high ranking or very high volume search. Okay. Actually go here. And this is only because it cuts down time for me. You can actually, you can just kind of research the industry, but like, I would read through a post like this and see how they're writing it. I might even steal their headlines and write the exact same post, but instead of, go away. What is this? Starting a business website. I don't know. This one's better. How to create a website, right? This is right in your niche. This would start getting some really good traffic, and it'd be customers who probably tried it and then were like, oh, this is really hard. So I'd probably go and steal all the headlines here and then look and see exactly what type of content they're producing, and then see how I can make it better. How can I make this more valuable to my potential customers? And then I'm going to go and write it and post it. I mean, it seems really simple, but that's how I might go about it. I'd go a little more complicated, but I don't have time to go through that much. That's why I say go and check out Href's Blogging for Business course. These are all videos that you can watch. It might take you a little bit of time, but promoting your content, how to get backlinks, and it also how to create link-worthy content, okay? Because ultimately, rather than doing outreach, people should be just building content that actually gets links organically. That's what Google wants. So what was the question?
Well, it's quality content. Like, how do you know if you got quality content, or how to start developing it?
There are some checkers too, and there's a couple Chrome extensions. Neil Patel outlines this in one of his blogs about different Chrome extensions that you can use to see if your content is quality. But ultimately, like, no, you know, spell well, backlink out to really good sources to prove that your data is legit, and try to be like in the head of your target client to understand what is really valuable to them. If you can write something really valuable, people are going to read it.
So in a way, that kind of goes back to the value proposition in the beginning. Like, one of your questions is like, what's your value proposition to your client? And if you're clear about that, and that is a good fit with the client, make sure your content is reaching that value proposition.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I will say too, that writing good content is only part of it. You need to have some sort of system to get that content out there. And that's where backlink outreach is super important. I'm reaching out to a couple hundred people a week to say, hey, we've got this really good piece of content and it might fit well in a piece that you posted a while back. If it's valuable to your audience, feel free to share. And that's where it starts. But I mean, you also find ways to kind of jumpstart it. Social media, if you have social media channels, you should be sharing all your content to your audience, but then you also have to build that audience, right? Like it's really tough it's easy to produce amazing content. It's tough to make sure that people know about it. There are, I think there's something like 20 or 30 million new pages added to the internet every minute. So like, just imagine your competition. That might even be something else you could bring up to your potential clients in web development that are like, hey, why is my website ranking? Well, I'm up against 20 to 30 million new competitors every single minute. So cut me some slack.
Right. Any other?
What challenges are we facing in rural Montana that marketing might be able to be a solution? I mean, everybody right now is looking for sales. I will tell you one thing, traffic has increased, I think it's 15 or 20% since coronavirus shutdown, but like we're talking on a global scale or nationally here. But actually total sales have gone down, conversions are down. So even though people are seeing more traffic, sales are down. And the reason is people are at home now. They've got a little more time to spend on the internet. However, they're not in a buying position. So, you know, really being valuable to your potential clients right now will pay off in the future. Like for instance, with the bookkeeping business, we are offering weekly updates, which we normally charge a lot extra for all of our clients. We offered it to them if they were interested, instead of the regular monthly ones. And we're doing that for free for the next 2 months. Guaranteed though, that on the other end, they're gonna remember that we took care of them when things were really bad. When you're talking about your books, you're talking about how much cash you have on hand. And it used to be that you're thinking 2 or 3 months out as a business owner, but now you're wondering on a week-to-week basis whether the doors are going to be open. So guaranteed when they get on the other side, they're going to think twice if they ever like, oh, well, this guy charges less, or this guy, you know, gave me a different offer or whatever. They're going to remember that we helped them through a crisis. We did it for free.
Yeah. Well, one thing that we talk about a lot in Amory, at least these past couple of weeks in particular, is this idea that the state is reopening, and you know there'll be phases as to like what the economic recovery looks like, but we're worried kind of for our constituents that like customer behavior might have just really permanently changed. Like it might not for a lot of Main Street businesses like hair salons, you know, businesses that are like require a lot of like physical customer flow. You know, the business might have just transformed permanently, and it might be worth the business owners kind of, you know, redesigning their customer acquisition model. So I was wondering kind of what your thoughts were on that. Like, how do you see like real mom and pop kind of physical businesses, maybe perhaps using online marketing to readjust?
That's a good question. Because now I'm just guessing at this point, you know, there's really no way to tell. But when it comes to a small business, the best part is that in general, you have a close connection to your clients. Like I know I can call almost any one of our clients and be like, hey, I'm from SLC Bookkeeping. They're like, oh yeah, that's Joe and Matt. Cool, what's up? But if we did that, you know, let's say Wells Fargo, probably not. I can't just pick up and call anyone that's a Wells Fargo customer and be like, why are you bothering me? So we have that benefit. And I think ultimately this is a really good time. And I did this as well. I reshaped my business in the last month and a half. Like I had to, because I picked up this new job. I outsourced all my business. I hired an intern. I hired a contractor, and I actually increased my business by 125%. because I found different avenues that were valuable now. The greatest part about any problems that happen is they're all opportunities and things we can fix and add value to other people, right? So it's going back to your customers and identifying what would make your service more valuable than it currently is. So this is a good time to rebrand, restructure, or reach out to guys and go, okay, we know things are bad. What's going on? Tell me, what's going on? What problems are you having? And then start coming back up with creative solutions. And once you start talking to a handful of people and interview your own clients, you're going to start to identify key ideas that will basically come out of the rocks. You won't even know this was a problem, but you'll identify those ideas. And if you can come up with a solution to it, they'll either keep you as a vendor, or it's another service you can offer. Greg Gianforte, Bootstrapping Your Business. He produced this book after starting the Oracle company. Oracle bottom. What was the name of the company in Bozeman?
I was just trying to remember it myself.
Did he start Zoot, or was that another one?
No. Whatever. We know the company we're talking about in Bozeman, right? He sold it for a couple billion. Bootstrapping Your Business, he actually outlines that idea. And if you guys are interested, you should check out the I-Core program as well. If you have a new idea to pursue, just the experience of learning how to conduct a feasibility analysis and uncovering the market, that has been very valuable to me. Basically, I spent 3 weeks interviewing, I think I got up to 40 people for a potential business I had. And what we uncovered is the product that we initially went in with, there just was no market for it. So we would have spent $1 million in production of this and then just found out there's nobody that would buy it. Instead, we uncovered a new client that was worth several billion, or a market that was worth several billion that we could actually get into relatively easy because there was no competition. So I don't know why we're not pursuing that. But,
did you run the I-Core program in this last fall, or when Paul did it?
Yeah, program with Paul, and now I'm with Paul and David, and we actually just won a $50,000 grant to basically conduct a feasibility analysis for a bee health app. So
cool.
Bee health technology. I'm not supposed to call it an app.
For like actual bees?
Yep, monitoring the health of bees.
Yeah, Paul's talked about a little bit where there's an app where it listens to your beehive on your phone, and it can tell by the frequency of the sound of the bees what the deal is, or at least I don't know the details, but
what diseases do they have? Mites? Are they sick?
Yeah.
Are they communicating? Is the queen gonna die soon? Like, it's pretty awesome. But conducting a feasibility analysis, it doesn't have to be that big a scale. You call 20 or 30 people in an industry, you'll start to identify issues that they're all having that you could probably fix.
Yeah, totally. Actually, it's funny. We had a conversation on Monday with a fellow named Joe Anderson. Not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's CEO of a company called Reflex Protect, which is a personal safety kind of venture. And he had very similar advice, actually, kind of like just going to the customer and understanding what the pain points are and how they've changed. So it's funny how kind of like everything starts with the customer and just sort of flows out and informs other strategies.
Right. It's just like our current clients with SLC. They used to be interested in forecasting and understanding their position in 2 or 3 months and profitability, like end of year, bottom line profitability, right? They were interested in that. Now they're interested in whether they're going to be open. Mm-hmm. That's ultimately it. How long can I keep paying people before I'm completely broke? And, some people have taken this as kind of oh, it's really bad and it's tough and everything. And it's like, good time to pivot. Find something that's working rather than trying to work against the rocks and climb up a wall. Instead, find the avenue that's going to work. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't do much SEO anymore. Backlinking outreach is it. If someone wants more stuff, I'm like, hey, you can go and talk to these guys. It's an industry that I've continued to try to climb the wall up on. Some people can do this for like $10 a month. I just can't do it. There's no way. So yeah, find the opportunity. So what can I do to help you guys right now? As far as like, maybe the email outreach, or is that helpful, Kristen? You're on mute, I think.
Yeah, it would be an email outreach.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else between you fellow entrepreneurs here?
Well, I would ask, go ahead.
Sorry, great information. And even just that little tip on the Hunter IO Chrome extension is going to be helpful for some folks on our team that need to do some business development. I'll pass that along.
There are a lot of free tools, guys. I hardly pay for anything. Right now I'm paying for Hotjar and SEMrush. And that's only because Oh, actually, you know what? I'll turn this off. Hold on. So this thing's really funny, but at the same time, it's pretty valuable. Okay. So we actually have this board that sits in the office here. I don't know how well you guys can see this.
No, I can't read it.
It's a decision tree as to whether you should outsource or not, and it's so awesome. Presented with an activity. Will I enjoy this? Yes. Calendar or action list? And if no, is it income generating? Yes. Can it be outsourced? Yes. Request assistance, or no? Calendar or action. I mean, it's just a really funny way, but you know, ultimately it's when it comes to those, as much stuff as you can automate in your marketing system, like I'll give it away right now. This is what I do. If I'm doing email outreach, I will try it myself until I find the messaging that's actually getting a pretty decent response. I'd say between 5 to 7% is pretty good, right? As soon as I do that, I have it templated. And I also use another tool. Of course, I can't remember any of my tools right now. It's called Yesware. Yesware tracks whether somebody opens it. They track whether they reply. And I can also send email in bulk, which I generally don't do. But
Do you use HubSpot for any of that? I saw that was pulled up on your...
HubSpot's really expensive, so I'm not going to suggest that for most small businesses.
We're using a free version that's available now so far.
And you get, what, 200 contacts or something like that? 100 contacts?
No, more than that. 1,000?
Yeah, which there's MailChimp, there's HubSpot. Use everything you can that's free, right? If it makes your life easier, do not write leads down on a piece of paper, please God. We have free CRMs, use those. When it comes to using tools, you know, like Yesware gives me whether they opened, whether they responded, and I can monitor whether the campaign is actually working. If I get a response rate of about 7% with people that are willing to set up a webinar or willing to set up a demo or whatever my goal is, then I'm going to go and hire someone to do that at a fraction of the cost. I'll be like, here's the template, here's the list. You know, I might contract someone to build a list of outreach. Then I'll contract someone to actually do the outreach. Cost me a total of $9 an hour, $10 an hour. And once the campaign is running, then I can focus on other things, right? That's automated. And there's plenty of automation tools out there. You just have to find them. And the resource that I told you, Neil Patel, he's producing content like that all the time. Like, what are the best tools?
Always got to run. Yeah, and Austin, you said you got to jump off the top of the hour, so you got 2.5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I want to thank you very much. This has been awesome. Really appreciate it.
Kristen,
I'll get you two connected. I've got emails, so I'll just send you both emails. Make it simple.
You know, if you want to, actually, Carl, why don't you send an email to everyone with my contact info, and you guys can set up time one-on-one with me anytime. I'm absolutely willing to help.
Okay, I'll do that to everybody that's on the registration list. Cool.
Great.
Hey, thanks, Austin, and we'll circle back around if we get more people on this topic. I think watching the video may spur some interest, so thank you.
Yeah, Austin, this was awesome. Thanks.
Appreciate it, Austin. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for joining.